And is there something you'd like to say about any struggles that you have faced throughout your life?
One of the struggles that I'm thinking about right now was a while back, actually. I was in a music class and I really, really liked the drums. There was only one drum set, but it was my favorite thing to do. And I just wasn't the best of it. I was a child, didn't know a lot. But I remember this one time in class, I went straight to the drums, played the drums, and my teacher looked at me and he's like, "Get off the drums. You're not. I don't want to listen to you." He didn't bother teaching me, correcting me, any constructive criticism. He kicked me off and put me in the piano. And that was definitely really hurtful, especially coming from a teacher that I looked up to.
I went to get some snacks with me and my cousins who were of darker skin. I was a little fairly light, so kind of what I am now, I would say. And when we went to go pay for our snacks at the register, the lady behind the counter said, we don't take your kind here." I said, "I'm not understanding, you know?" I'm like, "What do you mean, you know?" I'm like, "Do you mean like my change?" She was like, "No, you know what I mean. I don't take your people here." And I looked back and I looked at my sister and we looked at our little cousins and we're like, "You mean us?" And she's like, "Yeah." I kept my cool, calm head, and I said, "Well, I'm a customer and I have money and you don't have a sign that says you're going to deny me. So I'm going to pay here. I'm not gonna have a conversation with you. I'm just here to pay." She didn't say anything. She just scanned all of our stuff and threw it back at us. And I was like, "Okay." We paid and she's just like, "You need to leave now." And I was like, "Okay, it's time to go." And my cousins weren't really understanding why she was being rude, and I kind of had to explain to them because they were so young that the fact that because they were darker, she just didn't want to serve them. So that made me feel pretty upset because I was like, I don't think we did anything wrong. We were just there to go get snacks for a sleepover.
So just something that happened within the past year is I discovered, hey, or I came from Stockton Unified into my new Unified district, another district. And I said, hey, the law had changed. We don't really qualify students under the 7th percentile anymore. That was a year ago. No one took me seriously, you know? So that's the backbone of our report. That's how we qualify students with disabilities. Just last week, a male colleague, amazing, person, but just mentioned it to a group of our group and said, I can't qualify kids anymore because the law had changed. And everybody rushed to his basically comment like, oh my gosh, really? How did that happen? When did this change? And we should just now change all of our departments. I'm like, didn't I just say this a year ago? But recently it reminded me that my opinion isn't loud enough until a male actually said it very nonchalantly.
That how'd you overcome that feeling?
Well, I was a child. I didn't know how to play the drums, and it's not my fault. He was a teacher, and his job is to teach. His job is to make the student improve in whatever they're doing. And kicking me off and putting me in the piano was not the best move, I would say, but I've learned to forgive and forget. It's been a while, and yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody's been through, has had a good feeling of that. And it's a long, hard feeling of, you feel like you're useless or you feel like you don't belong. Um, and I think that it's normal to feel that, but not all the time. Because there are gonna be times when it's like, oh, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do. Like, what if I just quit, let it all go? There's always room for growth. Like, you will hear about grandparents being homophobic and then their grandchild comes along and admits to them they're homosexual and they're all of a sudden, you know what, I'm okay with it. Switch because it's family.
Yeah.
I think that there's always room for change and growth. It's never too late to grow. It doesn't matter if you're 8 or 80. I think there's always room for growth.
I have more of an assertive personality, so I would go against the current all the time. So I feel comfortable doing that, but I have seen a lot of colleagues, especially Asian female in the same field, they are very timid and they would not speak up. I'm usually the louder one in a group of people or in like our coworkers, so I would speak up, but I've noticed that my Asian partners, in the same field would not. Yeah, they would just stay quiet or they have their opinion, but then they don't speak up when it's called for.
I would want everybody to know that we're all just human. Everybody is just doing their best in this life. We're all confronted with challenges every single day, whether these are health challenges, financial challenges, just everything. And I would encourage people to not get caught up in the negative. I would encourage people to drown out the noise that is everywhere and to focus on getting to know themselves, clarifying what their own goals are, and then taking action towards those goals. I am an empowered person, and so I always move forward in this life with a mentality of a champion and pivoting my way to success.